13 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few wide receivers I would start this week. The first guy, Jaylen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins. So what a season it's been for the Brookie Waddle here. Second best wide receiver, no doubt about it, coming out of the class here behind Jamar Chase. So the last few games here for Waddle, he's really picked things up and gotten him going. Week 10 versus Baltimore, 4 catches, 61 yards. Week 11 at the Jets, 9 catches, 65 yards, and a rushing touchdown. And Week 12 versus the Carolina Panthers, a huge ball game. 9 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. So Week 13, a great matchup for Waddle and this Miami Dolphin team versus the New York Giants. And the Giants here, I know they had a great game last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles, but they still give up the 14th most fantasy points to wide receivers. This Dolphin team is hot right now, winning 4 in a row. And Tua and Waddle, former college teammates, just have that great rapport and great ESP. So this week here, I think Jaylen Waddle at least could get 80 or 90 yards and find the end zone in this one. And he's definitely a receiver I would start. The next wide receiver is Michael Pittman Jr. of the Indianapolis Colts. So Michael Pittman, it's been a decent second year for him, but the last few games he's been quiet, no doubt about it, is Pittman. Week 10 versus the Jaguars, 5 catches, 71 yards. Week 11 at Buffalo, 2 catches, 23 yards. And Week 12 versus Tampa Bay, 4 catches, 53 yards. So in that game, a few deep balls Carson Wentz targeted him, but they just couldn't connect on that big one. But right here, Week 13 at Houston, I think they connect on a big deep ball in this game. And I think Pittman easily could go for 100 yards at the Houston Texans, who can't stop no one of the worst teams in the league at 2-9. And I think he gets 100 yards and possibly finds the end zone. And he's a wide receiver I'm definitely starting this week. The next receiver is Devonta Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles. So in his rookie year, the former Heisman Trophy winner, he's been hit and miss as well here, Smith. We saw a stretch. We had some big games, but the last few weeks here he's quieted down. Week 10 at Denver, 4 catches, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Week 11 versus the Saints, 4 catches, 61 yards. And Week 12 at the Giants, only 2 catches, 22 yards. But in that game, he was frustrated. He wanted the ball more, and it just didn't happen. But right here, I think everything goes right in this one, Week 13 at the Jets. The Jets can't stop anyone. I know they came off a victory at Houston, but that's not saying much. And Devonta Smith here, I think he could burn the secondary for a few touchdowns, possibly at least one in this game. So I think Devonta Smith bounces back, and he's definitely a wide receiver I would start this week. The next receiver is Hunter Renfro of the Las Vegas Raiders. So Hunter Renfro, what a season it's been for him here as the slot guy, and a very reliable wide receiver for Derek Carr, and even for fantasy owners. He's only had 1 or 2 bad games the whole season here, is Renfro. So the last few weeks for him, Week 10 versus Kansas City, 7 catches, 46 yards and a touch. Week 11, a struggle for him, 4 catches, 30 yards, and 5 rushing yards versus Cincinnati. And Week 12 at Dallas, had a huge Thanksgiving game, 8 catches, 134 yards, and 2 rushing yards. So right here, Week 13, another good matchup for Hunter Renfro and this Vegas Raider team. They give up the 4th most fantasy points, is the Washington football team, to wide receivers. And I think Renfro in this one could get 6 or 7 catches, at least 70 or 80 yards. And once again, he's a great PPR option this week. And the 5th and final wide receiver I would start this week is Jefferson of the Los Angeles Rams. So we know Robert Woods is out for the season. Next man up over there in Los Angeles. And Jefferson and Odell Beckham Jr. had great games in that Week 12 ball game at the Green Bay Packers. So Jefferson, the last few games, Week 9 versus Tennessee, 3 catches, 41 yards. Week 10 at San Francisco, 3 catches, 54 yards. And Week 12 at Green Bay, he left some points out there. 3 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. He dropped a deep ball that would have been another touchdown in this one. So Matthew Stafford likes to air it out to the big-time receiver here, Van Jefferson. Big target, speedy guy as well, second year. And this week here, great matchup in Week 13 versus the Jaguars. That give up the 12th most fantasy points to wide receivers. So in this one, I think Jefferson finds the end zone and at least gets 70 or 80 yards. So that's a few receivers I would start here for Week 13 of the fantasy football season.